Joining us live now is, so to say, the protagonist of this entire BCCI versus Lodha saga. Justice R.M. Lodha now joins us on NDTV. Sir, firstly, the Supreme Court has accepted all your recommendations in toto in their order today. Are you surprised or is it on the expected lines?
Today's order is logical because once the order of the Supreme Court passed on 18 July 2016 was not implemented, despite the timelines fixed by us, Supreme Court had given 4 to 6 months time for implementation of its order. We were constrained to submit 3 reports before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court heard the amicus, the Supreme Court heard the BCCI Council, Supreme Court heard the state associations, etc., and finally has passed the order. I think it's quite logical because once the order of the highest court is not implemented, obviously something drastic was bound to happen, and that is what has happened today.
Now, you think looking back, it was a self-goal by the board mandarins and that the BCCI could have saved themselves from such a situation had they accepted all the recommendations earlier?
Yeah, by implementing the judgment of the Supreme Court passed on 18 July 2016, and there was no choice, and there is no choice to anyone, because once the Supreme Court has passed the order, it has to be obeyed. You can prolong it, you can delay it for a while, but so long as order stands, it has to be implemented, and this is the first step by the Supreme Court in ensuring that its order of 18 July is implemented.
Right, sir. On paper, it does read like a landmark judgment, but for someone who spent more than a year closely monitoring BCCI's working, how does this order change the way the BCCI will run in reality?
Obviously, BCCI's governance and administration would be entirely different. It would be as per our report once the judgment of 18 July is implemented, because the eligibility has been fixed. Many of the office bearers may now be not eligible. It will bring in transparency, it will bring in accountability, it will bring in good governance. So obviously the entire cricket administrative structure would change in the country.
Now, the other view is that with so many changes, a complete overhaul, if you like, doesn't this throw the game into turmoil? I mean, practically the entire top brass will have to relinquish their position.
No. Cricket would be, flourishing. The cricket administration is always for the betterment of the cricket. And if cricket administration required transparency, accountability, once it is brought in, the cricket would be better governed and the cricket game would flourish.
Okay, finally, sir, before we let you go, I know you only looked into matters of cricket, but do you feel other sports in India can also use this judgment as a blueprint to govern their respective sports?
I would always wish that the judgment of the Supreme Court works as a template for other sports organizations, and if other sports organizations could follow and implement the reforms, it would bring in accountability, transparency, good governance in all these in all these sports federations.